Beloved of God, may the Lord fill your minds and your heart with His peace. Today is the Monday of the 22nd week in ordinary time. And as usual, I've come your way once again with the daily reflections. We reflect on the gospel reading of the day from the gospel according to Luke chapter 4, verses 16 to 30. We reflect on the caption, Opening the Temple Doors. Opening the Temple Doors. Luke is the only one who records Jesus' visit to his hometown Nazareth after his temptation. Remember that in the verse 14, Luke records that Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit to Galilee after the temptation. And as well, report concerning him went out through all the surrounding country. Which report, beloved? Report of his mighty deeds since he performed miracles there. Note that these miracles were possible because the people believed in him and they allowed themselves to be touched by his words, which brought about genuine repentance in them. So by the time he was coming to Nazareth, news had already spread widely about the miracle worker from Nazareth. So family, friends, and neighbors were all anxious to see and hear him. Jesus' respect for the custom enabled him to attend the public service in the synagogue, although he is aware that the religious system is corrupt. Beloved, the synagogue service followed a particular formula. The first was the invocation of God's blessing. By God, we are referring to God the Father as the new as Yahweh. The second was the recitation of the traditional Hebrew confession of faith. You can see this from Deuteronomy chapter 6 verses 4 to 9, the popular Shema Israel. The third was the prayer and the prescribed readings from the law and the prophet. So the reader paraphrases it in the Aramaic language. The fourth aspect was a brief sermon given by one of those in the congregation or perhaps a visiting rabbi, as Paul was granted that privilege in Antioch. You can confer this from Acts of the Apostles chapter 13 verses 14 to 16. Jesus was never accepted by his people as a rabbi, so making him read and to give the sermon was a privilege for him to prove if indeed he is the miracle worker they have heard about. The passage Christ read was from Isaiah chapter 61 verses 1 to 2, which was interpreted by the Jewish rabbis in reference to the Messiah, of which every Jew knew. So you could imagine the shock on the faces of people when Christ said, all that he has read has been fulfilled. Because by saying that, he is boldly declaring that he is the Messiah and that he has come to fulfill what was written about him. The reference in that text is about the year of Jubilee. Beloved, the year of Jubilee is spoken about in the book of Leviticus chapter 25. In their tradition, every 7 years is a sabbatical year for the nation, where the land is allowed to rest. And every 5th year after the 7th sabbatical year is known as the year of Jubilee, a year of balancing the economic system, meaning slaves are set free to return to their families. Properties which are sold are reverted back to the original owners. Debts are cancelled. Land, animals, and man rest. So Jesus applied this to his ministry. He has taught, he has healed, he has performed miracles. And that his teaching and then the healing has liberated those who were sick, has liberated the demon-possessed, and those in bondages. So indeed, he has ushered in a spiritual year of Jubilee. But his listeners wouldn't listen to him, and they took offense for 3 reasons. 1, for the fact that he has claimed himself the Messiah. 2, they couldn't see past his poor background and will never accept his divinity. 3, the last straw which broke the camel's back was the fact that Jesus reminded them of the Lord's goodness to the Gentiles. Remember, Prophet Elijah bypassed all the Jewish widows and helped a Gentile widow in Sidon. You can confer this from 1 Kings chapter 17 verses 8 to 16. And his successor Elisha also healed a Gentile leper from Syria. That is from 2 Kings chapter 5 verses 1 to 15. But the point is that they are making the same mistake, closing up, shutting the doors to their salvation, preventing the Lord from reaching out to them. The Lord couldn't perform miracles there because He couldn't save them outside of themselves. We are faced with these same challenges in our current generation. We want miracles, but we do not want to be disciples. We want to fly without first learning how to spread our wings. We want successes and victories, but we want to bypass the cross. The demands of our Christian calling we don't want to accept. Many of us are like the Jewish leaders. We have closed up the doors to our temples and Christ is locked outside. We profess Him with our lips, but our actions speak something else. We easily admit His divinity, but we cannot prove His lordship in our lives. Christ wants to reach out to us, but He expects us to trust, to believe, and to submit to Him in deeds and in words before He touches us. Once again, I bring you greetings from the valley of prayer and silence, and have a spirit-filled day favored of Yahweh.